indication of nerve damage and foot drop, a less than 1% rare occurrence. Doctors say there may be a 50-50 chance of full healing. Fortunately, I am recovering well at a skilled facility in Salem, transferring to Encompass Rehab in Tustin on Monday. I'm praying for God to restore my foot and life activities to full functionings. So with God's mercy and by doing all I can, I trust I'll be able to join you soon, hopefully at our September meeting. Thank you for keeping me in your prayers. Now,
let's pray together. Lord, thank you so much for this meeting and the privilege we have of being together and being brought up to date on what's happening in our country. Lord, we ask for your healing hand on our precious Pat to restore her. And Lord, please give wisdom and direction to this younger generation as they search for your truth. May your values always be the basis for every decision they make. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Well, first and foremost, thank you to everyone here for listening to what we have to say and hearing kind of some of the stories we have to share. So I'm Jose Cortez. I originally am from Gardena, California. I went to school at Santa Monica High School before doing my undergraduate studies at UC Riverside. Before going to UC Riverside, I wasn't the most politically involved student during my high school years. So I lived in a specific unincorporated area of Gardena called Westmont. This is an area that actually falls in line in Maxine Waters' congressional district. Yes. So that leads to my first story, what made me want to get involved. So living in Westmont, it's about a 2 to 3 square mile radius unincorporated area of Gardena that doesn't have a city council. And kind of the disadvantages of that is that whole unincorporated portion of Gardena only has 3 trash cans, public trash cans, which leads to a lot of litter being put on the main streets. And although it is a small unincorporated area, it has a high school, a community college, and elementary comes to issues like that. So after attending the conference, Charlie Kirk and his organization had pushed me to run for a vice presidential role, specifically vice president of finance, because the vice president of finance at our university was in charge of how the student government funds get used. And a lot of people don't know this, but student governments at major universities have huge budgets. UC Riverside, which is one of the smaller UCs, has an annual operating budget of $1.4 million generated by student fees, and the student government has the discretion to allocate those funds towards projects that may not necessarily be in the best interest of students, right? We've seen student governments in the past allocate up to $50,000 for these drag shows on campus that are not widely attended by the campus community. So they wanted me to run for vice president of finance because at that position it would allow me to stop a lot of these BDS, more liberal projects from getting advanced. And fortunately, with the support of Turning Point USA, my boss Nicholas Van den Nieuwenhof, I got elected to be vice president of finance for my junior year. And I got re-elected to the role again my senior year. So those 2 years, we were able to shut down a lot of these BDS movement, more liberal type projects within the financial committee before it even got to the senators. So it didn't even become a political issue of sorts. By the time I had graduated in 2019, Nick and Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA had really liked the work that I was doing in student government and recruited me to be their, I think, 5th Los Angeles representative, kind of working with students like myself, connecting with them, recruiting them to attend these conferences and kind of advance more conservative ideals. And if they aren't advancing conservative ideals, at least stopping these more kind of super liberal, far left projects and ideals that were being passed at these universities. So I worked as a representative for 2 years, helping over 100 students get elected to fit as many students as possible in the state. And that's a large part of the reason why our organization is able to meet with, reach with more California students than any other organization in the country, including Turning Point, Leadership Institute, and some of those other larger organizations. So those 4 programs are the Future Leaders Program, which is our student leadership focused program, working with students in student government, students who are presidents of their clubs, student organizations, fraternities, sororities, getting them equipped with, or connecting them with conservative leaders to kind of let them know, that they don't have to just fall in line with these far left ideals like they have been. Then our other program is Project 307, which is our conservative activist-based program. This is our program that identifies all of the conservative student organizations in the state of California, hopes to connect with them and provide them resources to be an even better student organization on campus, to recruit more students on campus, to do better conservative tailored events on campus. And then we have our New Way Out program, which is our mental health focused program. For I think actually the past 25 years, the mental health industry has been dominated by these far left organizations pushing, these ideals such as transgenderism, stuff of that nature. And we realized that we had to come up with something to counter that, which our answer was the New Way Out. And today here we have representatives from all of the various programs that I'll be introducing, and will be kind of going much more in depth with what they do with the program and kind of the stories that they have to share. So.
Thank you so much, and for having all of our students here today, and for also giving us an opportunity to share with you guys what we are doing at the Lincoln Institute. It is truly an honor to be here. So hello, my name is Madeline Pack, and as Jose mentioned, I am currently a student at UC Irvine. I am studying public health policy. I'm in my last year, so I'll be graduating in March, which is truly so exciting. But today I truly just want to share what we're doing specifically with the New Way Out program. I am the program administrator of this program, but before I had gotten there, I actually started off at the mentorship program. So just a little bit about me. Before I started working with the Institute, I went to a public high school in Corona, which is where I'm from. And there, growing up, I had a very politically split household, where my dad was a Republican and my mom was a Democrat. So, especially going through the public school system, I wasn't exactly sure what I believed in, but something that truly disturbed me, being 16-year-old, sitting in my government class, learning about how America was racist, about how we shouldn't stand for the flag, something in me truly didn't feel right. Obviously knowing my parents immigrated here legally into the US from the Cambodian genocide, and so I have witnessed firsthand what honesty and hard work looks like in families in our nation. And so being raised seeing that, the American dream in my family, something in me knew this was not right, not to stand for the flag, to think our country is racist. We're minorities, and here we are working hard, making a living for ourselves. And so when I graduated high school, going into UC Irvine for public health, at the time I was wanting to study public health sciences, wanting to be a doctor. And so when I started to take these classes about healthcare and private healthcare versus free universal health care, and where money should be allocated, and how we're teaching, DEI, transgender, mental health, I knew there was something to me very important about healthcare, and it's the policy. Your access, your quality, how much funding you're being put into certain programs and issues and treatments. Policy is so important. And so I knew that I wanted to address that because I saw how there were gaps in policies, that we were talking about certain issues that was very obviously wrong.
All right. How's everyone doing today? Good. Glad to hear it. So I hope your day has been pleasant so far. My name is Zach Dell. And for the last few years, I've had the honor of taking part in and leading Chapman University Republicans, and I'm now part of the statewide CCR organization. So when I was asked to speak today, I consider that what I should point out is probably not the typical cliche of, oh, my crazy leftist professor said this, or the green-haired girl in class did some nonsense here, right? I think that's been overdone and everyone's hasn't seen that by now. So I want to address a different elephant in the room here, right? What does the youth feel is an appropriate direction for our future, right? As a vanguard for the future, we light our torch forward of our culture, our people, our country, right? And we as a youth in higher education, we can't just return to some idyllic past of yesteryear from the 1950s, 1960s, even the 1970s under crazy Jimmy Carter, right? But our goals are the same as they've ever been for every generation of Americans, right? To preserve our civilization, to preserve our country, and to make a better future for ourselves and our children, right? And here's a line I read in a book that I found in a nice little shop around here, down in Costa Mesa. It really resonated with me and I want to share it today. This is referring to right before World Wars, right, to what nearly the height of our civilization had achieved, right? That, and I quote, "A reasonably well-off man had never had to interact with the arms of the state from cradle to coffin," right? And I think this kind of envisions a poignant idea of an America that we had missed, right? An America where it's not about what Uncle Sam says or what Big Brother hopes to achieve, right, and his control over you, right, but rather what you and your community, through what you hope to achieve for yourself and for your family and for the future of your family and your friends and that of your community. You hope to build a better future and a better country, not because you want to or you have to or that you need to, but it's that you feel that innate desire, that innate need to become better, right? To make something greater of yourself, to drive forward what your ancestors have done. And I feel that deeply into my heart. So, as I continue to learn more and more about the world and our history, the more enamored I became with the beauty and the art and the soul of our country, and how within this anti-American current system we are trapped within, that we still have managed to thrive in it, in spite of this. I find that beautiful. And our way of life is slowly being eradicated by those we entrusted, all of our politicians, all of our agents of choice that we've elected. They have slowly, throughout the years, they've slowly eroded our rights away. Right now, we don't have the ability to choose where our money goes. Right, you don't have the capability to. What's a good one? So, like dividends on your income, whatever, that kind of stuff. Right. So, the very structures and institutions that we rely on, it resists our efforts to grow and develop as youth. With imported cheap labor destroying skilled work that builds the middle class, as well as business regulations that largely benefit large corporations, preventing small business from thriving, from young entrepreneurs that would build wealth for local communities, and instead of focusing it in the hands of those who already have. And some of these things I say are echoed by the left as well. Right? Luxuries are cheap, but life is expensive, and cartels have formed as an insular layer against our development. But I say this not because I ally with the left, not whatsoever. Rather that these are poignant issues that the youth thinks are relevant to us, right? And these are largely generational ones, and I don't expect everyone to go agree and say, hey, these are the solutions that would benefit everyone. Because largely, yes, it would probably help the youth more than it would help the elderly and the middle-aged and millennials currently, right? But my solution to these problems, economics is not a game about studying, hey, here's the impacts of this policy, or how do we promote policies that promote growth. Rather, economics became the study of analyzing phenomena for the distribution of rewards, right? So they would say, hey, if I did this policy, how does it impact distribution of wealth? That became the sole topic of some of their studies, right? And most of the people at my university, they were more microeconomists, and a lot of them were derived from the Koch brothers related groups, like the man I just mentioned. He was derived from that, but he's since no longer associated with them. He's more of a libertarian leftist now, the whole thing, right? But they play with our rights like they are toys and getting their desired Gini coefficient instead of actually improving the lives of their countrymen. And I find that to be a little disparaging, honestly. I think everyone can kind of get behind me that economists, they don't really know what they're talking about half the time. Yeah, well, yeah, at least. So as we all know, being right-wing in California goes against the grain. And to be against the grain is to resist that which attempts to destroy you, right? We are against the grain in a place which desires to make us a pariah, to destroy our whole lives in front of us for something that we wholeheartedly believe in our essence and our soul to go approach and light the fire of our continuing culture to go forward. They attempt to destroy us for it, and we resist it. And we do what we can to go, as they say, hide our power level when we're in class, and to go disguise our views from our peers so that we don't become ostracized. And that's a heavy toll to take on a young person, right? If more than half the people that are your peers refuse to go talk to you if they think you believe such a thing, wouldn't that destroy you, right? And the fact that we've gone through all this and have overcome this so far in our lives, I think it says a lot to what's changing in the world. We're seeing a lot of change now, and I think it's a good thing. But I also think that we should be wary of it going too far. So, young people are rightfully, though, angry at the hand they've been dealt, right? Just because they've been born in this current year as opposed to 30 years ago, we no longer can afford homes. Because that's way too right-wing for them, for the lightly. So, one of the leaders of it, he's a very impressive man. He's a former Black Panther, former Jesuit priest. Now he's a Buddhist monk or something. He just retired. Whole interesting guy, right? But he told her in the middle of a class, your religion is fake. How insulting is that? Even in the intellectual queries that's so central to higher education and to classical education, you question these very basic things. How could you ever think it's okay to tell someone your religion is fake? This was one of the things that just made me totally disenamored with any sort of part of the college experience. That's when I realized these people are nothing. I could outsmart these people in like Wordle and Jeopardy and whatever, right? Give me like a month to go prepare, and I could outright them, right? So, like all this stuff together has made me wholeheartedly believe that we are posed to a transformative period in our political history. One that we must be smart about. We can't just let this go already. We can't just let this go away. We are at a pinnacle in which the youth is either going to say we are done, or we're going to be at a point at which the left has won. There is no alternative. We must fight to win, and without that, our civilization will be destroyed. Thank you.
Delphine, and unlike Zach, I am going to spill the tea a little bit today. I'm going to complain just a little bit, but I really want to let you all in on what's going on with the young adults in our country, what's going on with conservatives in our country. Newsflash, it's a little crazy, so buckle up. Alrighty, well, yes, like Jose just said, I'm an incoming senior at the University of California, Irvine, pursuing a degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing. And over the past year, I've had the great opportunity of working with the Lincoln Institute as their lead interviewer, going to colleges across Southern California and asking my peers about all the controversial issues: immigration, abortion, transgenderism in our youth. So as you can imagine, I've had some crazy conversations, and I want to share those with you today. In this role, it's been both fun but also a challenge, because sometimes I'm standing face to face with people who have views drastically different than my own. Most notably, I was recently invited on a YouTube channel, a very popular one called Jubilee, and the video title was 25 Conservatives versus 1 LGBTQ+ activist. Yeah. In this episode, I debated a young man on the ethical concerns surrounding allowing children to undergo gender transition. So children 8 to 13, allowing them to be on hormone blockers, estrogen and testosterone for young boys and young girls, and even allowing them to undergo sex changes. So I distinctly remember the argument I had with this young man. He said that he believed it was ethical for children as young as 8 to 13 to be able to take testosterone or estrogen because they know who they are. Yeah. I responded firmly that I think this is not only unethical, but deeply immoral to push such irreversible decisions on children whose brains are not even fully developed, who can't even grasp the consequences of their own decisions most of the time, But unfortunately, many of these children who listen to the doctors who are talking to them, who listen to their parents who are terrified that their children will commit suicide, are unfortunately chemically castrated, meaning that at this young age, since they're taking hormones and puberty blockers, they will never be able to have children of their own. It struck me profoundly. If we don't step up now to address this issue, the next generation will suffer the consequences. We have to be the voices that protect our youth from irreversible harm, and this means speaking up in spaces that are uncomfortable. But even more importantly, protecting and educating our children on what a boy is and what a girl is, so that when they come in contact with these ideologies in real life, they'll be prepared and know the truth. Another occasion, just a month ago, I appeared on another show called The Dr. Daff Show. This episode was titled Trans Women versus Conservative Women. This show is actually supposed to be for just women to go on, so they kind of broke their streak with this one. But yeah, so I found myself sitting in a room with some conservative women on one side, and right across from me were transgender women, or biological men, who were it was like lipstick on a pig. They were in dresses and wigs on, and I don't know, it was kind of scary. But I sat there across from them while they told me that they deserve spots on women's sports teams, and that they deserve to be seen as just as much of a woman as I am. They boldly stated that they understand my lived experience as a woman just as much as me. Okay. I firmly pushed back against this claim. I told them that womanhood is not something you simply choose to adopt. It's a lived reality. I didn't choose this. It's inherently biological, emotional, and spiritual. As women, you all know, we possess an inherent power, the extraordinary ability to create life. Yet society is increasingly devaluing this miraculous capability, pressuring us to prioritize career and financial achievements over family, motherhood, and nurturing relationships. If a woman chooses to work, like many of us women here today, that's great, we should celebrate that, right? But we can also equally celebrate a woman who takes pride in motherhood and being a wife. We are being wrongly told that our worth must mimic the achievements of men. I adamantly reject this narrative today. Women are inherently valuable from the very moment we come into this earth. And we don't have to prove our worth because it's already within us, right? We need to be strong examples to the next generation that womanhood is a gift we must steward well. This means we can be strong and outspoken, we can stand on stages, but we can also be compassionate and humbled. We can be achievers and entrepreneurs, but we can also just as proudly be caregivers to our friends, neighbors, and children. So to all the ladies in the room, I think the future truly does lie with women. Women who encourage and raise the next generation, who inspire their husbands, sons, and daughters, like myself, have a chance to speak out on our college campuses and be heard loud and clear. But now I'm going to let you in a little bit on what student government looks like. It's been just over a month since I've been in it, and I had my very first meeting, and I want to tell you I was shocked. So the first meeting is supposed to be a swearing-in ceremony. Usually students will swear on something dignified like the Bible, right? But when I walked in that room, I saw students choosing to swear on things like a baby doll that they brought, or a bag of chips, instead of the Bible that was right next to them. These are the kinds of students that are representing me in a student government. They choose to make a joke out of something dignified like swearing on the Bible. And this is the disregard that my peers have for tradition and respected symbols. Then, during that same meeting, I was really hopeful to hear what legislations our new president had to propose. The colleges become super expensive, housing is expensive, transportation is hard, books are expensive, sometimes you can't even get a full-time job right out of college with your degree. So I was thinking, right, our new president is going to propose some legislation that will help the student body. No. The first thing that our new president thought was important to, legislate was that we should, as a student body of UC Irvine, stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ community and put June as Pride Month. That was her important piece of legislation that she just couldn't wait to share. That was it. Everyone voted. Unfortunately, because it was my first meeting, I didn't have the chance to vote yet, but that was legislated and that will be what I have to look forward to this year. Not, that was her most important issue, So as you can imagine, no wonder our student government is full of liberals. Why would a conservative student want to be subjected to a room full of people who hate the Bible and who think the most important thing they can do is support Pride Month? But I promise you, I will hang in there. And I'm going to do my best to pave the way for not only other students in student government, but hope is in Jesus. I believe that He has the final say, and that we can't be shocked when the world continues to fall into darkness. But we need to be the light on the hill, standing firm for our beliefs, and having compassion and patience for others who might not believe exactly like we do, because the truth is, they're lost. So what's next? Well, looking forward, alongside my continued involvement in the Lincoln Institute and as a senator in UC Irvine student government, I am thrilled to say I'll be moving to Washington, D.C. for 3 months to work with the Heritage Foundation, one of the largest conservative think tanks in the country. But this dream would not have been possible at all without the incredible team at the Lincoln Institute. They have supported me every step of the way, guiding me through the complexities of writing a good resume, providing invaluable career advice, and believing in me. Their unwavering dedication to cultivating young leaders has been nothing short of life-changing. And finally, to all of you here today, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude. Your investment in the next generation, your courage in standing up for conservative principles, and your belief in young people like me is what fuels this critical movement forward. Thank you.
Even liberal societies now, liberal countries like Sweden and Great Britain, are getting away from that. They've done the science, they've sat on it for a long time, and I think we did a study in this country and they did the science. So if you're talking science-based decisions and policy, as you were saying, the science is very much moving away from forcing children at that age to undergo that permanent treatment, because the treatment doesn't pan out to actually do them any good. So just as strictly does it do the patient any good, it doesn't, and obviously it leaves them with an irreparable situation. So, can you argue logic with these nuts?
Well, you can try. You can't always argue with crazy, but what you're saying is very true. In countries that were very progressive, believing that children could be gender transitioned and that it would be completely reversible if the child ever changed their mind, now they're going back on that information. Countries like Sweden, who were paving the way for these transgender ideologies, now are taking a step back and are understanding that these things have irreparable damage. Things like the bone density in these children who have for a couple of years been on these hormone blockers and testosterone and estrogen are developing osteoporosis in their younger years. Osteoporosis in a 20-year-old, but it makes sense when you're preventing puberty in a child. Puberty is the most important phase of a person's life. It's where your hormones are doing what they need to do, your body is growing, you go through puberty as a boy, you go through menstruation as a woman. They totally prevent that process, and so what we see is health issues in our young adults. No wonder we're dealing with record rates of anxiety, record rates of depression. It's because we're slapping on medications to an issue that can't be solved by that. If you're familiar, the DSM-4 was the old medical manual where it had all the different psychological the different psychological issues that people would have. Yes, the diagnoses. In the DSM-4, it was called gender dysphoria, the issue that we face with so many young children. And the treatment for gender dysphoria was that you would tell the person, no, you're not a girl, you're really a boy, and do your very best to lovingly tell them, you're not what you think you are. Because we don't tell anorexic people, you're fat, and the way we should treat that is we should give you liposuction. We tell them the truth. No, you're not fat. You are a normal weight, and the way to treat that is for you to continue eating and have a healthy lifestyle. That used to be the treatment for gender dysphoria. But in the new DSM-5, they put it as gender identity disorder, meaning that the treatment is to change them to the gender that they think they are. So the treatment has totally changed from one medical manual to the next. And so this whole new generation of children who might just be playing with trucks as a girl, being a tomboy, or boys who might just like a little bit more feminine things are now being told, actually, you're the wrong gender, and the only way to treat your discomfort is to put you on hormone blockers, give you hormones of the opposite sex, and then ultimately chop off your breasts or give you a whole new set of genitalia. That is unfortunately what we're facing, and hopefully with studies from countries like Sweden, we'll be able to start backtracking, but the damage is unfortunately already done. The best we can do is love on these people who've been permanently damaged and hope for a better future.